All right, welcome back to the Podratix Gaming Cast. I almost stumbled over our long name. This is episode 13.
Oh, is this the luckiest or unluckiest episode?
I don't know, but it's coming in. No, today's Thursday, so it's not Friday.
Okay.
13th.
Then we're probably fine.
It would have been pretty fitting, though, for October.
Yeah. If you're listening to this on a Friday, then I hope that a big scary werewolf doesn't jump out of your closet and grab you. I'm Sophia.
Oh yeah, we didn't introduce ourselves, did we?
No.
Well, we were talking for like a solid, I don't know, half hour before we started recording.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whatever seems to be the best way to do it. I think we just need to jump in.
Yeah, exactly. Because we were starting to get into a discussion about Silent Hill.
Yeah.
And the whole time before that, we were trying to figure out what are we going to talk about? And then we just started talking.
Yeah. The things you missed because we didn't hit record.
Well, maybe we can circle back to some of it.
Right.
You were telling me about...
I'm Zach, by the way.
Hi, Zach. I'm Sophia. You were saying Silent Hill 2 is just kind of inconvenient.
Oh, yeah, because it's like, from what I've read online, the PS2 version is really the best version.
Mm-hmm.
And then they remastered it on PS3 and 360, but they did something like really bad with the fog effect.
Yeah.
And you can now like see a lot of the stuff that you weren't meant to.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you can't really get the PC version, at least not legally, I guess.
I think
it's not on Steam.
I want to say it's on GOG.
Is it really?
I know Metal Gear is, which surprised me.
What?
Yeah, Metal Gear 1 and 2, Metal Gear Solid is on GOG. Like, I had no idea.
When did they port those to PC?
I have no idea.
This is news to me. In 2021.
Okay. Hold on, it's loading.
We're both frantically Googling.
Silent Hill 4 is on GOG, but it doesn't look like any of the others are, which is a shame.
Yeah, there was a PC port, but it's like super old, and I think it's old enough there were only physical copies of it.
You said it wasn't on Steam?
It was not.
Okay.
I have looked.
Thing is, though, like if you can get your hands on that, I've heard that there's like a community around like making that the definitive version.
Yeah, I have seen that. They've like remastered it. They've made it widescreen.
Yeah.
So
they fixed the fog and all that stuff.
Right. I mean, I've heard it's this horror masterpiece that I've never played, and I feel like I'm seriously missing out.
Mm-hmm.
I never hear anything about the other games, though.
You could also try to emulate it, but PS2 games are often pretty tricky to get going.
That's what I've heard. I don't know. One of these days, I'll figure out a way to play it. Mm-hmm. That isn't like paying a scalper $80 or something to get an original PS2 copy.
Yeah. It's pretty good. I had a chance to play it a couple of years ago, and it was an interesting experience. Definitely.
I'm assuming it's better than the first game?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot that makes it a lot better. Just
the first game had a ton of atmosphere. It was just that it wasn't clear where you were supposed to go very often, and there were only like 2 or 3 enemy types in the game. So it kind of took away a little bit from what's going to be around this corner? Another one of these things.
Yeah.
So I feel like if they just had a little more budget, but
two is kind of a complication of that, I guess, where like it's the same a lot of the time, but there it's just like it's just bigger, I guess. You know, you still run into those moments where you don't really know where you're going. You do have a map,
Right.
and you like whenever you encounter something, you like make a note of it. So like if you run into a roadblock, you'll jot it down on the map.
Okay. Well, that's nice.
Yeah. Um,
Is the ending still insane like the first game?
um,
I guess the first game had two endings, right?
yeah, I think I had a couple different endings, depending on
Neither
like
of them
what.
make sense, but
Yeah. Um, I, I don't exactly like. I remember like the big reveal. I don't remember like what I think yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm remembering it now. It's weird.
yeah,
It's not.
it is very weird.
It's weird, but it's not as weird as the first one, and also it feels like it makes sense.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the first game.
Oh
My
no
bad.
no 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 no! The second game,
Gotcha.
it's still very weird, but it feels like it makes sense thematically because
Okay.
it's like the first game is about isn't really about Harry Mason.
Right.
It isn't about the player character. It's about the girl. Um, and the second game is about the main character.
Okay.
So like the thing about Silent Hill is that it's like it kind of shapes itself off of the people who go through it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't know. I don't remember if it's ever like really like super explained why things go on or whatever.
Yeah.
Things
I mean,
happen the way
I'm
they
not
are.
looking for like a full explanation. I don't mind them keeping it vague.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I feel like in the first game it was like unearned weirdness. In the ending, I was like, I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah.
I had to like look up a lore video to even like, what did I just witness?
Mm-hmm.
And then it made more sense. But
Yeah. Yeah, the second game is a lot better because like it's actually focused on the player character. So like you learn things about um, what is it, James Sunderland? I think his name is James. You actually like learn things about him,
oh, okay,
um, and like why he's there, you know, what his trauma is and all that.
okay,
It's a pretty good story. Mechanically, like they refined a lot of stuff that kind of made the first game awkward. But you know, you still have tank controls,
hmm,
which I feel is pretty important for a game with so many fixed angles.
right,
Um, well, no, it doesn't. It doesn't do fixed angles as much, um, but it's still pretty good for that sort of game.
yeah. I think the first one was a mix, right, of like set angles and then
Yeah.
the camera actually. Well, I mean, because it was like when you were in the neighborhoods, I think it kind of followed you.
Hmm.
It was a little more of an overhead view, I think, which is why I didn't like it as much. It was just kind of harder to see where you were going.
Yeah. Well,
But
also the draw distance doesn't help.
well, sure. I mean, you can
Um,
say it was just all atmospheric fog, but
mhm.
it was also because it was a PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah.
So, have you played the remake of the first game? Shattered
That's
Memories, I
Shattered
think?
Memories. I haven't. I think I tried to emulate it, and the emulator I had like wasn't updated super recently,
Okay.
so it didn't really like. It's like there was like various stuff that just like wasn't working with about it because it relies so heavily on that light engine.
Hmm. I can see that.
I've heard it's pretty good though. Very different.
Yeah, yeah, it looks very different. I thought it was a completely different game when I. This is going to date me, but I remember seeing the articles about it in Nintendo Power
Hmm.
back when that was a thing. So, have you heard the rumors of it coming back?
Um,
Silent Hill, not Nintendo Power.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like I'm sure that they're making a Silent Hill game. I know a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, but Kojima's working on the Silent Hill," and I don't think that that's happening. because Kojima
Yeah.
left Konami in like really bad blood.
I think everyone did.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost all of their talent. I think the only guy who stayed around was like one of the core members of the Contra team.
Hmm.
But then he put out Contra Rogue Core, so
That's a cry for help.
I didn't play that game, but it looks terrible.
Yeah, I remember the seeing the trailer for it, and it just is like, this doesn't look done.
Well, it really didn't on the Switch. The Switch version is like the textures were like at times almost PS1 bad,
Hmm.
very pixelated. But yeah, so apparently the rumor is that, and I don't know if this is confirmed or not, or if this is part of the rumor, but Konami's been restructuring to actually start making games again,
Hmm.
and not as much internally, because well, we've seen what they've done internally between Metal Gear Survive and well, the Silent Hill pachinko, the Castlevania pachinko, the terrible Castlevania mobile game.
Hmm.
So, but the rumor is that they're apparently that Bloober team, the team that did what is the Layers of Fear
Hmm.
games, they did the Blair Witch game, and just most recently they did the Medium. So the rumor is that there's two teams working on Silent Hill games. They're one of them, and then there's some Japanese team taking over the other.
Okay. Hmm.
So I think
I
some people have hinted that it's Kojima Productions, but I don't. Again, I just don't see that happening. Even if it is a restructuring, even if they make it any less awful of a company, I don't see him returning.
Yeah, well, definitely. Um, I don't know how to feel about that because like the only game out of that I'm familiar with is Layers of Fear, and I generally was kind of unimpressed by it.
Oh,
From
did you
what
play it?
I haven't played it, but like from what
Okay,
I've seen of it,
okay. I thought the Blair Witch looked interesting.
I
I
don't,
don't know.
I haven't heard like I completely forgot there was a Blair Witch game, and I don't know what the medium is.
The Medium is like that modern kind of Resident Evil style game where like the main protagonist is stuck in two different dimensions. So the game is being rendered twice. That's like one of the big next gen features of it, apparently.
Mm.
So it's like it's only on Series X and PS5. But yeah, so apparently the rumor is that they're doing that. The other rumor is that they're remaking. They're finding another team to remake Metal Gear Solid 3,
Hmm.
which I mean that would be interesting. That is like
I think
kind of the best game in the series.
I still have a copy of that somewhere. I'm pretty sure, but I've never been able to play it because it's like scratched badly enough that like I
Mm.
can't load a new game. But I can play the Ape Escape mini game.
I think you've told me that before, but that never stops being like equal parts sad and hilarious.
Yeah. So I got to see Solid Snake do like a little dance, and he says, "Gotcha."
So you've never played 3.
I've never played 3.
Oh, it's again, it's arguably the best game in the series. It's my favorite.
Hmm.
So, and then apparently they're also trying to reboot Castlevania, and this one is supposedly being developed internally, which is very concerning.
Hmm.
That they might be getting outside help, but it's mostly going to be developed internally.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest, I kind of don't care because we have Bloodstained now.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and also we have so many other like Metroidvania type games.
right now, Castlevania isn't necessarily always a Metroidvania.
That's
So,
true. That's true. But we like there's a particular like thing that there's a particular type of game that you think of when you hear Castlevania that I think you know you usually picture Symphony of the Night
yeah.
or
See, I
anything
think I'm
like
one of
that.
the few people that pictures like the original NES game and
Hmm.
Super Castlevania 4. I have the unpopular opinion that 4 is the best game in the series.
I haven't played enough classic Castlevania to know which one that is.
You
I know,
probably
no
wouldn't like the
3 has a
series, though.
really good soundtrack.
They all do. They all have
Well,
amazing
yeah.
soundtracks. But if you don't like that kind of classic, very tough route memorization type platformer, you probably wouldn't like the Castlevania games, the
Mhm.
old ones.
Yeah. I've never. I don't know. I think it's just a side product of it being on the Nintendo, which I've historically ranked very low. Um, just because like I can't even think of one game on the NES that I would choose to play.
Wow. Not even Super Mario Brothers 3.
Okay, I would maybe pick that up and play it for a little bit and then give up.
Oh, that's right. I forget you don't even really like 2D Mario either.
It's
How are
complicated.
we friends?
It's
I'm joking.
it's complicated, you know. I think like I like a lot of the modern stuff that Mario has brought to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
table. I just there's so much that just feels really needlessly cheap about like classic Mario. Just because it comes from that era of games that were like they were still kind of trying to transition from making arcade cabinet games
Right.
um, to home based games, and they hadn't quite figured out the that when you're at home, it sucks to be beaten into the earth again and again and again.
But
Um,
see, I think Super
until you
Mario Brothers 3
years
changed
later,
that.
they made Bloodborne, one of my favorite games, where you get beaten into the earth again and again and again.
I still think Super Mario Brothers 3 changed that though. I feel like that's one of the few NES games that holds up with like modern 2D platformers.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll have to put that in the the Podratix Game Club wheel.
Yeah, I'd be down. I mean, I'm always willing to change my opinion about something. Like I wasn't expecting to come away from Donkey Kong Country liking it as much as I did. I still
Yeah,
I still don't think I would choose to play it again, but I'm really glad that I did play it, and I appreciate it a lot more than I did
that's
before.
fair. That's fair.
So like I'm always down to like if I don't like a game, I'm still willing to give it a chance to
Right.
find out like why is it that I don't like this game, and maybe I'll come away with a new understanding of it, and I'll find something to like about it.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be willing to give Bloodborne another shot at some point, even though I really don't like that game. But
It's really good. I like it a lot. I've been playing it recently. I mean, it's the perfect month for it because it's all about cosmic horror,
yeah,
which is pretty fun. Um,
no, the setting of the game was fantastic. I just
mhm.
hated the level design
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
and the combat,
yeah, that's fair.
and the fact that your gun like barely is like the most inaccurate thing ever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're not supposed to use the gun as your main weapon. Is the
No, but if
thing.
you're like okay, if you're like 8 feet away from somebody, it better not miss. Even if you like, I know you have to hold the button down, but it seemed like it was a dice roll, like in real RPG. Like, oh, I just missed, regardless of distance.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm not trying to diss on one of your favorite games.
No, you're absolutely right, and it also does a very bad job of like explaining any of this to you.
Oh, for sure. I didn't know there was a weapon degradation system.
Hmm.
I was just like, why is it taking longer to kill things? Be nice if there was some visual, whether on the actual blade itself or have like a Monster Hunter style
Hmm.
sword that changes color and then gets jagged.
I mean, you do get a notification that your weapon is like close to breaking. So like a good few swings before it actually does.
Right. I never got that far. But it wasn't until like I went back to that hub area that gives me a headache because there's so much chromatic aberration
Oh yeah. I always
that
I always forget about that because like I'm just so used to it. I forget that it's like part of the game.
I've realized that about myself that I really can't take um, overdone chromatic aberration.
That's fair.
Like there's not,
That's
I don't get motion sick, flashing colors. I mean, I can play Sonic games just fine, but for whatever reason, it doesn't matter the game speed or the camera speed. Like that just always makes me mildly ill.
no, that's perfectly fair because something like that makes it hard to focus.
Right.
So you're probably like you're like squinting at it more, trying
Yeah.
to really like see it, and that gets tiring.
Right. It's the fact that you can like see if you look at a plant and there's like an invisible white plant next to it.
Yeah,
It's like, why is it that deep? Just like a little bit of that effect I can handle, but
yeah, it's a little rough in
right.
some ways, but
I'm not
it's
trying to
also
get on
no,
on
I
Bloodborne.
mean, like you're completely valid. Like these are absolutely valid things to that can like turn you away from a game. You're not any like less of a gamer because you know you have a hard time with certain aspects of it,
Right.
and not you're not any less human.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things like it's unfortunate to have the opinion that I have of Bloodborne because anytime I voice that, people are like, "Oh, so you're just bad at games." It's like, no, I like really hard games. I think my love of games like Castlevania and Ninja Gaiden are proof of that.
Mhm.
But
Have you ever played Neo?
I have not. I've wanted to because that
Okay.
seems like
My girlfriend got it on Epic because they were given it was I think it was one of the free games
oh
that
really?
they got recently. So she's been playing that a lot, and she says it's really good. That I probably would really like it. It's apparently like a lot faster
Hmm.
than Bloodborne, and there's like more complexity, but also it's not because you have weapon stances or something,
Huh.
and it's like more focused on like yokai and that kind of stuff. I don't know
Okay.
anything about like the story,
Yeah, I don't
but
either. I just remember I've seen the trailers and I thought like I might want to try that one.
yeah,
Because I honestly I was gonna pick up like the whole Dark Souls trilogy, and then I got access to Bloodborne through PlayStation Plus when they were giving it away, and that's where I played it. And I was like, oh no, I'm so glad I didn't buy the Dark Souls trilogy because if
mm,
this is like Dark Souls, and from what I've heard, it basically is. Um, I'm not sure I'd like those games. There's a part of me that still wants to try it, at least the first one,
mhm.
but it never goes on a steep enough sale for me to just like casually pick it up.
Yeah. I mean, the three typically goes on sale for like $15 or
Hmm.
something.
I guess because
So
like the remastered version is like the one that's always on storefronts, and that one
yeah,
like never goes below 30, and that
yeah,
just seems like a more significant amount of cash to put on something I might hate.
that's fair. That's totally
um,
fair.
I did love Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order though. I don't know if you
Hmm.
played that one.
I played a little bit of it while we had Game Pass.
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. It felt like there were some parts where like level signposting kind of felt like I was expecting things to be where there wasn't anything.
Hmm.
Like I was expecting there to be like a path through when it just turned out that's just what it looks like.
Oh, okay. It's
You know,
interesting.
it's like one like the type of thing where like if there's like the edge of something is colored red, you can like jump up and grab it, that sort of thing.
Right.
There's like these special walls that I think you later learn how to run along.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and like there was like a canyon area that I was like, okay, that seems like a familiar pattern, but it's like it's nothing. It just looks like that,
Uh huh.
just because like the weird like
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
rock layers and whatever.
I just
Um,
really like that was kind of the game that proved I was like, oh, I guess I can enjoy a Souls like.
mhm,
Like it actually it plays like a mix of like Metroid Prime mixed with like the combat of a Souls game and a little bit of the level design,
uh-huh.
where a lot of it like your progression is based on finding new shortcuts.
Mhm.
Um, and then kind of with like the platforming of Uncharted or the recent Tomb Raider games.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it.
The thing about the Souls games proper is that
Right.
they are very deliberate. Like your movements and your attacks have to be like very deliberate.
Right.
You are basically committed to your movements once you input them.
Yeah. What's weird to me though is that I love Monster Hunter, and after playing Bloodborne, I was like, wow, they actually got a lot of mechanics from Monster Hunter,
Mhm.
like the stamina system, where doing things like rolls and heavy attacks will drain stamina. Obviously, the series has gotten a lot faster, but it started out in a very similar place. And
Yeah,
even still, like when you do a lot of your attacks, like you're just stuck doing that now. There
yeah.
are cancels out of it. They have made the games faster, but
I'm curious then. Aside from like the visual aspect, like is what mechanically is it about Bloodborne? Do you think that you just kind of bounce off of?
I don't like swing my sword into an enemy and then just not reacting and then still hitting me. I encountered several glitches where enemies like would come out of physical walls. I didn't like the I didn't like the level design either. I didn't like going off the beaten path and then like finding loops with no purpose. There's like famously there's this area in the beginning of the game in kind of like the castle area
Hmm.
where you head off to the right. It's like right after like the first area, where you can kind of go into that chromatic aberration nightmare world.
Yeah.
And then if you head to the right, there's like kind of this catwalk with enemies like archer enemies. You take those out, then there's like a whole sewer section, and I nearly died like several times. I come up a ladder at the end of it, and I'm like right back where I started. I was like, what even is this? Like, I don't know. I liked Fallen Orders, having at least like cosmetics or some kind of power up or something off the beaten path. I didn't feel rewarded.
Mm.
And then like that first boss in the graveyard is just horrible. And I realized like I hadn't been upgrading the stuff because I wasn't going to the main kind of store area.
Hmm.
So then I had to do a lot of grinding that I probably wouldn't have had to do normally.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Some of it could have been my fault, but I didn't like the unresponsive feeling combat
Hmm.
and the level design. Those are kind of the big ones for me.
Definitely. Yeah, it's sort of like lighter weapons. Enemies can like still kind of go through them a
Yeah.
little bit, but like heavier weapons will kind of stagger them.
Okay. So yeah, I picked the what is it? It's like the
The
kind of
threaded
like the
cane,
giant butcher knife thing with a gun, like the
the
kind of
saw spear,
traditional.
or the saw
Uh,
cleaver.
yes, that one, because that was like the one that was all in the promotional stuff. So I was like, well, I got
Yeah,
to go with that. It looks super cool, but yeah, it doesn't. Enemies like barely even react to getting hit by it.
yeah.
So that I was not a big fan of.
Hmm.
Also, I wasn't a big fan of the camera either. I got it like stuck on a few different areas.
Yeah, that's fair. That's perfectly valid.
But at the same time, all of these complaints aside, I absolutely understand why people like this game.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things like it just wasn't really my thing. And again, I'd be willing to give it another shot at some point, but
Hmm. We should put it on the wheel because I would love to have like an in depth discussion about it.
yeah.
And maybe go over like some of the lore of it because like I want to like pull up some videos and like have someone explain like all the lore because there's a lot of stuff that is just like super easy to miss that is just like fascinating about this whole setting.
Huh. Yeah, because they don't really give you a lot of motivation to do anything. Like you don't know who you are or what you're supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
They just kind of like, oh, you're here and there's enemies. It's like, all right.
Yeah, you're a hunter and a hunter must hunt. It's the night of the hunt, so get cracking and you'll find out what that means as you go.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just making stuff up.
No, no, that's no, legitimately. That's it.
Okay.
You start the game with, like, you part of creating your character is you are like accepting the basically terms and conditions of being a hunter, um, and then it just kind of lets you loose. It's the night of the hunt. There are beasts everywhere, and your job is to hunt them, and you'll find out like why that is and what's going on as you progress.
Okay. How exactly is that told, if it's not too spoilery?
The world around you changes as you go on. Like
Hmm.
it goes from like sunset to like midnight, um, and like you like go to a lot of different places, and you like it has like the typical like item descriptions on like loading screens, that kind of like give details about like certain characters or certain items,
Hmm.
and you can like draw different sorts of conclusions from that, and you can like the actions that you take in the world, like you kind of start to see an effect. Not like there's like it's not like super granular. It's like when you defeat a certain boss, like the time of day will change. There are a couple of cutscenes. It's one of the one of those things that's like you could kind of miss a lot and still like have a really good time, and then when you go back, like all of a sudden you start making a lot of connections with the
Okay.
story.
I think I missed a lot and didn't have a good time.
Yeah. Well, also there's like very early on, there's like not a lot to uncover.
Okay.
Um,
What's the secret to beating the dude in the graveyard?
you have to get really good at parrying,
Okay.
because he's generally pretty easy to parry.
Okay.
Also, the music box can be pretty helpful for him if you can find that. You can talk to some people at the windows, and there's a little girl who will give you a music box, and if you play it, it'll stun him.
Okay. This seems like an NES game, just like done on modern hardware.
A
The
little
more you
bit,
talk about it, it's
a little bit, because
like
it.
no backstory. Very like visual driven game, and then stuff like that that makes no sense.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
that seems like the kind of cryptic.
well, I'm also trying not to like tell you too much about it, because like
Okay.
the discovery of the story is like as satisfying as anything else.
Okay.
Um, it
That's fair.
is part of the satisfaction, is like uncovering the secrets. Um,
All right. Well, I'll put it
which
on the wheel.
okay, which is why
I also put. I'm sorry.
you also need to play Outer Wilds so that we can talk about that, because
It's on the wheel as well.
okay.
So I guess we'll let the wheel decide.
um, gosh, what
I was gonna
what
say I also put Deadly Premonition on there. I don't know if you have access to a copy, but so I can take it
mm,
off if need be. But
what kind of game is that?
you don't know about Deadly Premonition.
Hold on.
It's like the one of the most famous slash infamous games.
What is this? Deadly Premonition. What is? Hold on.
It's uh
Did this come out on the Switch recently?
they ported it to Switch a couple years ago. Yeah,
Okay, I've never played it. I have
I
no idea
bought
what
it.
kind of game it is.
It's like a third person shooter horror game, psychological horror ish. It's very hard to explain, and if you don't know who Sweary is, the guy who makes these weird games, then I don't know how to describe it. He's kind of another. He's very different than like Suda 51, but he's very similar in that his games have a very distinct weird style. So there's a lot of a lot of people compare it to Twin Peaks in terms of just like weirdness factor. And I have played a little bit of it, But I didn't finish it. I got distracted with other games, so I thought it would be a good uh, excuse to finish it.
Yeah, I'd be down to play this. I'm looking at a screenshot now. This got like a bunch of dialogue.
Yeah, it's like one of the most loved and hated games of all time. So of course I was drawn to it. It was a super controversial game.
Sure, that's one way of looking at it, but it's totally wrong. Listen, they both need each other. It's called interdependency, and they both know it. Yeah, I know. He does terrible things to Tom. Nasty, even sadistic things. But that's fine, as long as that's what Tom wants. Think about it. His actions. He's always asking for it. It's his partner's job to fulfill that need. And Jerry knows it. Proof? Well, in the Tom and Jerry show, they live with each other.
So that's like a pretty good idea of what the game is like.
That's amazing.
It's over the top bizarre.
I am super down to play this. This looks
It's
amazing.
it's like both disturbing at times and then hilarious. And there's like it just switches back and forth constantly, but there's like a weird flow to it, I guess.
Okay.
And it brings up an interesting point of like the controls are terrible. I just want to let you know that going into it.
Okay.
But the entire game is balanced around it. It's like he knew it was horrible, but then they redid the game to fit that. So at the same time, I can't complain too much. And it brings up like an interesting topic, like are controls really bad? Or is it just like I don't know, like it's weird. I don't know how to describe it.
I guess it depends on like what sort of like feeling or whatever is supposed to be evoked from
Right.
from stuff like that.
It made me question a lot of things about game design. I'll just say that, which is always cool.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely I'm totally down to play that.
I'm
I
kind of
think
shocked that you haven't heard of it.
yeah. Well, I as soon as I looked it up, I remembered because I remember when it was announced for the Switch.
Gotcha. They made a sequel, but I've last time I heard it runs at like 12 frames per second
Okay.
or 9, and I'm not joking either. That was Digital Foundry's reading. So
Almost playable.
it's like one of the worst open world games ever, performance wise. Do you want to jump into what we've been playing? We kind of already did. With
Yeah, we
Bloodborne.
kind of talked about it a little bit. You go
This,
ahead
this
first.
this
'Cause
episode
I'm
has
kinda-
no structure, by the way.
Yeah,
If you're listening to this, this is going to be our ramble episode.
yeah. We're allowed one of these every once in a while. Come on, it's Halloween, baby.
It wasn't
Let
just
us-
that we weren't prepared for this one.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I was doing homework. I'm not prepared.
Right. Totally fair.
It's an interesting topic. I'm very excited to talk about it, but I'm not. I don't have all my notes together.
Right. It'll be a surprise as to what it is.
Yeah. What have you been playing?
So I've been playing quite a few random things. Most recently, I started playing Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. It was on sale, and I felt like that was a good October game.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you played Ritual of the Night?
No, I haven't.
Okay. You definitely should if you get the chance. Just don't play it on Switch. That version's apparently terrible.
Even after they updated it.
I don't know. At launch, I know it had like the worst textures ever, super low resolution, performance problems, and input lag. So I'd be surprised if they fixed all of that.
I'll probably
The
get
game
it on
itself
Game
is
Pass or something.
yeah. The game itself is absolutely fantastic, and I was kind of concerned about it. But it turned out really well. Anyways, the history of Curse of the Moon, though, is that similar to Mighty Gunvolt, this was a stretch goal for the Kickstarter. I think you knew about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one's like kind of more of a full game than that was. It's still pretty short. It's 5 levels long, but it's basically a modernization of Castlevania 3. So it goes back to the more linear style of Castlevania.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it. It has like the same jumping physics where like if you jump straight up, you can't adjust your jump midair. If you jump forward or backward, like you're kind of stuck going in that direction.
You're
So there's
committed
no
to
like
it.
midair adjustments. It has the knockback, just like from those classic games.
So
So
I
if you're
wouldn't like
anywhere,
it.
you'd probably hate it. Um, yeah, so if you're anywhere near a pit, you get knocked back into it. I do think the difficulty's a bit more fair. They have a lot of enemies that remind me of enemies from the original Castlevania games. Like they even have a Medusa head type enemy, but even that doesn't feel as bad. Um, and similar to Castlevania 3, you end up getting a group of, well, kind of a group of strange characters that don't really go together. And this game is like, I guess it's like an Elseworlds kind of tale, so it doesn't really happen in the same timeline as Ritual of the Night. So it just kind of features four of the characters from Ritual, but nothing has happened. Like it's not a prequel, it's not a sequel. It's just kind of its own thing.
Okay.
But you play as Zengetsu, the demon hunting swordsman, who is a boss in the original game, and then you get I'm blanking on her name, but she's the main character from Ritual of the Night, who's just the best character in the game too. And then you get I forget his name, but he's like this useless old guy who just kind of he's the magician of the group, but he has almost no health. He can take about 2 to 3 hits, and he uses a lot of your magic, and he has like the worst attack. He's just a bad character.
Hmm.
I kind of kept thinking it was like, oh well, maybe I'm just using him wrong, and maybe I still am, but like I keep trying to use him and dying a lot. So you can switch out characters at any time, which is pretty cool. So each character has their own health bar. So like Zengetsu is kind of more of the tank. Miriam, that's the character. That's
Hmm.
she kind of has a slightly lower health bar, but she's got more reach because she has a whip.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have, I think Jeeble is his name. He's basically the stand-in for Alucard. He's basically he's basically just Alucard, and he can even turn into a bat, just like in Castlevania 3. But yeah, the levels actually have branching paths that these different characters have. You can use the characters' abilities to get through different paths. So there's actually quite a lot of replayability to it. Um, like I said before, you can switch through the characters. The one thing that's kind of frustrating is that when a character dies, the rest of the characters, like let's say you were switching through and going like really far on this one life, so you kind of kept waiting, and then all of your characters had low health. If you
Mm-hmm.
die with one of those characters, then you just have another life with you get sent back with 3 characters that have almost no health. So at times it's just better to just jump off a cliff and end it all and start over with fresh health, which kind of feels overlooked in my opinion. So it could be that they were kind of rushed with that, but that seems like a major oversight, especially early on in the game, because when you only have like 2 characters, when one of them dies and the other has like 1 hit left, it's just it's ridiculous. It doesn't count against your life, though. I will say that you have 3 lives, and each life is all 4 characters essentially, or however many you have in the party at that time. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's not as cheap as the original Castlevania games. It's got bosses that feel very Inti creates, not necessarily Castlevania, but very Inti creates. They could have been straight out of a Mega Man game, to be honest. Um, but yeah, it's fun. Little mildly frustrating, but pretty fun.
Okay. I'll have to check it out at some point.
You probably wouldn't like it, just being honest.
Well, maybe I'll watch someone play it then.
That's fair. That's fair. There's not really a lot of story there, so I would definitely recommend Ritual of the Night, though.
Hmm.
I think you actually would like that if you like Symphony of the Night at all.
Oh yeah, Symphony of the Night is probably. I probably would put it in like my top 10.
Oh wow! And you
Um,
haven't played Ritual.
I
It's
haven't played
basically
Ritual.
the sequel to. It plays
I
just
don't.
like it. A lot of the enemies are basically taken straight from it.
I'm thinking now, would I put it in my top 10? I don't know.
Hmm.
I'll have to think about that. We'll make that an episode one day.
Our top 10 games of all time.
Yeah.
That would be hard.
What's my top 5? That's so subjective,
It
even for
really
me.
is. Other than that, I played Abzu, which I've owned forever. I feel like,
It's the ocean game, right?
yeah. It's a journey like, if that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually made by one of the producers, I think, who left that game company,
Mm-hmm.
which that is the actual name of the company, is that game company.
That game
Um,
company. That game company.
yeah. So yeah, that game company made Flow, they made Flower, and then Journey, and they made something for Apple Arcade recently. I can't remember.
Children of the Sky, I think.
Okay, yeah, it just came to Switch, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so it's basically it's that kind of visual based storytelling, um, very linear, but then also like the game makes you feel like you're on more of an adventure than you actually are, and it has a gorgeous art style. So if you're into if you liked Journey or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you like undersea things, it's a very good game. I got it for $2 on Switch, so that's one of those like that's one of those games that many games that I see on sale and I just like, well, it's probably not going to go that cheap again, and then I just buy it and never play it.
Yeah.
But I forced myself to play it, and it was really good.
Okay. Is
Yeah,
this
there's
still
no
on
combat.
sale?
No, that was like years ago.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I've had this game for a very long time. But yeah, there's no combat. It's basically all about like swimming, and then like there are different sequences that'll happen. You'll go to different parts of the ocean, and you kind of bring light back to certain areas. You'll release different sea creatures, and then there are like different meditation spots where you can just kind of sit back and observe the fish and different sea creatures swimming around. So it's a very chill game.
Hmm.
It's also only about an hour or two long, so it's a pretty easy game to finish in one night.
Okay.
So it took me two because I'm super slow. And then other than that, I think I did play. I did play a couple more NSO games. I don't have a lot to say on these. They were on the Family Computer NSO app, so I have a Japanese account.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of trying to see if there was any difference between the game lineups, and there are a few games that you can get through the Japanese account that are not on the American NSO. So among these were Ye Are Kung Fu, the Famicom version. I don't know if you're familiar with that game. It's an old Konami arcade fighter.
I don't think so.
It was in that like prehistoric era before the first Street Fighter,
Hmm.
or really before Street Fighter 2, I should say, um, where like the idea of like health bars and special moves was very new. And it was one of those. I had a Konami arcade classics collection on my no Game Boy Advance back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and so I played the heck out of that game, the original arcade version. It wasn't very good, but I had a lot of long car trips and not a lot of not a lot of games to play. So
Mm-hmm.
I ended up like becoming a master of that game. So I was curious to see how the Famicom version would stack up, and it really doesn't. It's actually worse. It's like probably the worst fighting game I've ever played in my life.
Oh gosh.
The collision detection is just the all-time worst I've ever played. It just seems like it's almost like a dice roll, right? Like you go up to the opponent and you're just pushing buttons. Your fists and your legs are going right through them, and like and their fists and legs are going right through you, or weapons if they have them. And you're just kind of standing there, and every once in a while, like one of you will take damage. And I played this longer than I should have because I kept thinking I would find where these hitboxes are, but there was just kind of this center line that you had to hit. So if you were in like the front, if you hit them in the front half, nothing happens. If you hit them in the back half, or even through the front half into the back half, it doesn't count. You kind of have to like magically line it up with this invisible line down the center. There's no other fighters to pick from, and the AI is very cheap. So
So, not even a real fighting game.
it's pretty terrible.
More like you're fighting with the game, am I right? Hell!
I kind of wish it were on the US NSO app just so you could try it out.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those games that's just laughably bad. Um, a really bad port of an already not very good game that I still have a soft spot for. And then I played Route 16 Turbo, which is like an old school maze game where you play as a dot going through a block. Like there's a bunch of different blocks with numbers on them, and there's entrances and exits. And when you move your dot into one of those, then it zooms in, and you're a car going through a maze trying to get items. And there's other cars trying to run into you. So it's basically like Pac-Man on a giant scale. Like imagine if you're playing Pac-Man and you go out one of the side exits, instead of coming out on the other side, like you end up on an overworld where they can still kill you.
Hmm.
So it's like there's, I think like 16. Yeah, I guess that would make sense with the name. Mazes per level, and you just have to collect all the items in every maze.
Interesting.
So
That's
it
on
was,
NSO too?
yeah, the Japanese one. So it was interesting. It was better than the Famicom Yura Kung Fu. So, but then again, almost every game I've ever played is better than that.
In some way or another.
Yeah, that game is just so mechanically broken.
Do you think that Earthworm Jim 3D is better than that game?
Yes, like way better.
Okay. We'll see.
I mean, Earthworm Jim 3D functions. I was able to play it, so
You have. That's fair. That's fair. You, I forgot that you have actually played it a little bit.
yeah, I just played the first world. So yeah, that was about it.
Okay.
There's obviously another game we'll talk about afterwards that I've been playing. But what else have you been playing besides Bloodborne?
I've been playing this funny, nifty little game called Outer Wilds, and I'm gonna try so hard not to like not to spoil anything because like this game. Oh, so I had started playing this like sometime last year, and I got really into it, but also like a little frustrated and kind of put it down
Yeah.
because it's very much like your own curiosity is what drives you to play the game, and so like I feel very fortunate that I have my girlfriend who adores this game uh, to basically sit next to me and kind of give me like softball hints about like where to go or like just kind of like remind me of like pieces of information that I've uncovered that might be relevant or just like kind of nudge me in different directions to go.
Hmm.
You would absolutely like if you're determined enough to like solve all the mysteries, like you can absolutely like piece it all together just by yourself. It is a fantastic game. So
Are there
ow,
infinite
my headphones
loops?
just disconnected. Hold on. I'm back. Um, it, it's basically you have a small solar system that you can travel around in. There are like all these weird planets. There's this planet called Brittle Hollow that's like falling apart, and there's a black hole in the middle of it. There are
Hmm.
these two planets called the Ember Twins. There's Ember and Ash twins. And the ash twin is just like a bunch of sand that is falling off of that planet, um, and onto the ember planet and filling it up. So like there's stuff that you have to do on both of those where like that the time that you get there matters, because like if you get on the ember twin too late, what you're looking for could already be buried in sand.
Hmm.
Um, there's um, there's this like big storm planet called Giant's Deep. That it's like its gravity is super heavy and it's just like got a bunch of these giant cyclones that pick up the islands and just toss them into space.
Wow.
Um, the dark bramble is like this exploded planet that had like a weird sort of like fractal seed
Huh.
basically bursted open from the inside, and you can go inside the seed and it's like bigger and bigger and bigger inside than it is on the outside. You just go like infinitely deep into it.
This sounds really cool.
It's a really really interesting game.
Yeah.
And like as you go along, you like find like there's this alien race called the Nomai. They've left like information about themselves like scribbled all over the place, and so
Hmm.
like you start finding out like who are these people, what were they doing, and what happened to them. And it's just like it is like there is like a weird sort of sadness, but also like joy to the story
Sounds
that
super cool.
I cannot recommend it enough. And also I have to be really careful about what I say, because like part of the wonder of like what makes this game so amazing is like that sense of discovery. Is like putting all the pieces together and like realizing what it all means.
Wait, so an open world game can be good without a bunch of copy pasted content?
Yes.
Huh.
Um,
That's crazy.
yeah. Uh, DLC for the game came out like a week ago.
How do you
Um,
do DLC for that?
so they added this planet called the Stranger. It is like it's like a spaceship, that you can go to, that it has a whole other like world built inside of it, and there's a whole story that kind of like ties into the main story,
Hmm.
that adds like a little extra context, but it's like an entirely different like alien race that you were like kind of traveling in the footsteps of. The only aliens that you come across are like you play as this race called the Harthians. These little like blue four eyed creatures, that are all like astronauts, and they hop about the solar system.
Okay.
So you're kind of like picking up the like echoes of the past, as you're traveling along. Um,
Are there infinite loops?
yes. So the main mechanic of this is that the galaxy, is the sun, is going to go supernova in 22 minutes. Um, but there's a thing that happens that makes it so that you are able to basically return to a point 22 minutes, in the past. So whenever you die, you go back in time and you start that loop over again, or whenever the sun explodes,
Okay. So
the
does
loop
it just automatically
resets.
send you back if you wait too long?
Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So like as it sounds stressful, and like there are certain times where like there are certain things that like you need to be very quick to do, but generally it's not like I never really felt anxious. I haven't felt anxious so far. Like I'm still playing it. I haven't like uncovered the final like secrets. I haven't placed everything together, but like I put a lot of pieces together so far.
Hmm.
Like I haven't felt anxious about like that time limit.
Well, that's
Um,
good.
because generally when you feel like you need to rush, it is because you have just put something together and you're super excited to go like check it out.
Right, right.
Another thing that really helps is your little spaceship has a computer that keeps track of everything that you've discovered, even across loops. It has a couple of different modes. There's like a planet mode where you can like pick and see all of the information you found by planet. But there's also like a rumor board that basically does kind of like a cork board with like pictures and string tied to pieces of information. So you can see how all the information that you've collected so far relates to everything else.
That's really
So
cool.
so if you get stuck somewhere, there will be like a you can go to your computer and look at what you do know, and there will be like a notification saying like there's still something to look to find here, and you
That's
kind
really
of
cool.
yeah, really really helpful.
I would say for a completionist like me, that's like super nice.
Hmm hmm
Wow, this
So
this sounds really great. I mean, I've heard it's like it was a lot of people's game of the year 2019, but
yeah, it is. I finished the DLC because it's like its own thing. Um,
yeah.
it made me cry.
Oh,
So
okay.
it is a sad, it is a wonderful, it is a beautiful game. I implore you, please, please play this game.
Well, it's on our spinner, so you want me to wait the spinner?
No, no, but maybe.
If it lands on Earthworm Jim 3D first.
Um, so yeah, that's that. Aside from Bloodborne, has kind of been what I've been focused on.
Well, let's not
Um,
forget Woodle Tree 2
yeah,
Deluxe.
it was like $2, so I was like, yeah, I've got Nintendo coins. I'll
Did you play the
just get
first
it.
one?
Um, I don't think so. I heard the second one is a lot better, and
I
it
would
is.
imagine.
It
I,
is.
I've played the first one. It's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. It's pretty cute, pretty standard. Second one is like it's like a whole like open world.
Hmm.
You could just kind of go places, and there's it's really cute. It controls pretty well. I haven't really had any issues with it. Like you could tell that it was made like on a very low budget, but they put a lot of heart into it, and it definitely shows.
I do like heart in my games, so yeah. I actually might. Is it still on sale?
I'm not sure if it is,
Okay.
but it's worth checking out regardless. I think I don't know if I would have picked it up if it were like full price,
Right.
but
I still want
for
to pick up Tori 2. That just came out
oh,
this
it's out
week.
now.
Yeah, it just
Oh
like
shoot,
stealth launched.
I gotta get it because I really liked the first one.
It was really good. It really reminded me of a Sega Saturn game more than PS1.
Hmm,
I think it was the colors.
that's fair. Yeah, it's got a lot of those like more cyans and magentas.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of a surprise hit for this year. I'm surprised they released another game. It's just like a one person team.
Yeah,
That's crazy. They did two. I mean,
they
how
did.
often do you get a sequel to a game in the same year? I mean, I know they still have like all the same assets and whatever, but
Yeah, I don't know. I looked at the dev page on the Switch, and they have like an N64 looking game called I think it's like MacBat 64.
yeah, I saw that too.
So I put that in my wish list. I'll probably just like grab it because it's like a couple dollars. So I'll probably just get it because I really want to see what's up with that. I love N64 games and seeing games that like really well like it looks like it nails the
Yeah,
aesthetic really well.
I would still love to see. I know you would not, but I would still love to see a 3D platformer that like now that we have GPUs that can render stuff in real time, like that old 90s art. I would love to see a game that looks like those like DKC renders or that kind of early to mid 90s 3D art. I know you would not.
Mm-mm. No.
That would make me so happy if somebody did that.
I mean, I don't know if it would really be that hard to do. You know, you just turn down some of the settings.
Yeah, I mean the resolution and polygons still have to be pretty high.
Well, no. What what is Super Mario 64? Now that you're saying that, Super Mario 64 has a mod. Like someone did a mod for, I think, like because there was that PC port that got leaked, and somebody has done like a Silicon Graphics uh, port of it that makes it so that like the in-game assets like match like
Hmm.
um, those pre-rendered like promotional images.
Well
So
then,
like the reflections and like materials and stuff.
did they do it with the metal cap?
Yeah,
Oh wow, because I remember seeing those early renders.
yeah. Oh, let me see if I can find it.
I think there's that famous render of Metal Mario in Wet Dry World that's just always weirded me out a little bit, but I think we've established before like that thing. Even though I'm weirded out by it, I'm weirdly drawn to it.
Render.
I just find it fascinating.
Let me see if I can find images of this.
Oh hey, it's still on sale. I was looking up Whittle Tree too. You know what I love about the Nintendo eShop?
What's that?
I love how you can't put items in a cart.
Yeah, that's
I,
pretty
I
cool.
really love buying one game at a time when there's like four that I'm wanting to buy, and then having to go in and put in my password every time, and then wait for it to download. Or half the time I don't want it to download because I'm not ready to play it yet, so I have to go back instead of hitting continue shopping to go back to the home, then tell it to delete the game that it's starting to install, and then go back to the eShop. And then I really love it when my credit card company says, "Hey, is this the same? There's a charge for the same amount. Was this you? Did you get double charged?" It's like, "Oh no, that's just that. That's just because Nintendo won't let me buy one more than one game at a time."
Okay, I'm gonna send this to you on Discord. But this is basically a showcase of the mod.
Okay, surely that's happened to you, right? Maybe not the credit card part, but
Yeah, it just sucks to have to like basically try to retrace your steps from scratch
yeah,
to get back to where you were, and
like even the Epic.
it takes
Oh, sorry.
forever to load.
Yeah, I like it when the videos won't play half the time, even though I have really fast internet. The eShop is so great.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I love how developers had to exploit the pricing system to be able to get their game discovered.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
It feels like they keep trying. Like they have that featured section now that's like half-heartedly trying to be like the 3DS and Wii U eShops, but
Sorry, I'm lost watching this video because like I think this is like exactly what you're looking for.
okay,
And
now I'm gonna
also,
have to.
like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, dang. Now hold on. Maybe it's just Donkey Kong that I don't like.
Oh yeah, it does kind of look like that. Like, can you imagine though, like a AAA production though that looked like this?
Yeah. What would be what do you think? Let's try to like imagine like what kind of game that would be. Like what do you think the I don't know, what sort of characters, what sort of setting do you think that could be?
I mean, setting wise, I'm not sure, but I definitely. Ooh, Bowser. Oh wow,
Yeah.
it doesn't look finished. I love it. It would definitely have to be a 3D platformer, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
like what everyone associates with that art style.
See, I'm watching this video and I'm like, "Hey, Super Mario 64 doesn't look bad actually." But then I'm also remembering how like much I hate how Mario handles in that game.
I still can't believe you think it's worse than Sunshine. like with 64, it's one of those things. Every time I play it, I get better at the controls, and I always feel like I can at least land most of my jumps. Like I know where I'm going to land. And in Sunshine, I feel like I'll land on things and just go shooting off of them half the time.
That's how I feel about regular Mario 64. It's just like, oh no, you accidentally bumped into the wall, so now you're gonna bounce off of it and fall and die.
It's not worse than Sunshine. I will not agree on that.
Oh, you didn't hit the wall just right. I guess you're not doing a wall jump. You're just gonna fall and die.
Yeah, the
What's
wall
that?
jump timing.
You're sliding? Well, keep on sliding until you fall and die.
I mean, hey, Sunshine needed Flood to be able to do all its platforming.
Yeah, that's
It
why it's
literally,
better.
it literally has to have a. Well, that's the thing though, because there's those levels where it takes it away, and then those are the worst.
It's true.
You realize just how awful the controls are.
It's true. That's true. That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, like, yeah, I will say that having Flood makes it easier, at least initially. Um, but on its own, I feel like Mario controls way worse in Sunshine.
But he does a spin jump. Can Mario 64 do a spin jump?
Nobody has so many more moves, though. They replace
Name
his long jump.
name one.
More moves?
Long jump.
The long jump? Um, Sunshine doesn't have the crouching jump, does it?
No, I don't think you can even crouch.
You can't punch. You can't do like the midair kick, which slows your, like gives you an extra little maneuverability in midair.
I was just being a contrarian. I know.
Okay.
I know.
All
There's a
right.
lot. There's a lot you can't do in Sunshine.
I love how in Sunshine they added the strafe. It's like almost the most useless thing.
Yeah, I
There's
mean
like two instances in boss fights where it comes in handy.
you can use it to like kind of do a sort of like shotgun effect with your sprayer,
Hmm.
which is pretty handy. But I don't think that's intentional.
Is the Have we ever known or figured out if the like infinite slide in Sunshine is intentional? We just keep pushing B and just instantly like just keep bouncing along the ground on Mario's stomach.
I don't know if that's. I guess it's intentional because like you could just do it.
Yeah. I mean, you have to remember that game was massively rushed. I mean, I guess both games were, but that's why we have the blue coins. Was because those were stars for other worlds that weren't finished.
Oh really?
Yeah, they had to. That's why there's like that the place where you have to trade in the blue coins. I think there were supposed to be two other worlds that were never finished,
Oh
and so they
wow.
made the blue coins to augment that.
I had no idea.
And I think Corona Mountain was supposed to be its own like full world.
Instead,
That
it's
that
just the
that
path to the boss.
that boat lava boat level though is just horrible.
Unacceptable. Do better, Nintendo.
I feel like at some point we'll have to do 64 and Sunshine back to back.
Hmm.
Like we'll have to just commit to that.
Yeah.
Then we'll have like the most fresh opinions on them.
I really don't want to play 64. I'm thinking about it, and I'm just like, I don't want to get all those stars.
You don't have to get all 120.
Just need like what 70?
If that, right? Is it less than that? Somehow I thought it was less.
Maybe.
I always think I'm going to do like a speed run of it, and then I end up 100%ing it. Which really only gets to be a pain in um, TikTok clock, which is still just the worst area in that whole game. At least in my opinion. You might have one you dislike more.
Let me think of one. Super Mario 64.
Just the entirety.
Super Mario 64 is the worst level in the game.
Wow, so much hate.
I don't know. Like I, I think I feel the way about Mario 64 that you probably feel about Bloodborne. Is that like I understand like why people like this game. It's just like I cannot stand it personally.
Gotcha.
I will if the wheel lands on Mario 64, I will play it, and I'm sure that I'll have a good time. But I'm just not excited about it right now.
That's fine. I haven't put it on the wheel yet because, like I said, I would want to do Sunshine right after.
Mhm.
I think those games. I think there's a lot of comparisons that could be made between those games.
Yeah,
I think
you
it'd be
could put it on
interesting.
the wheel. Just like put them like both on the same token.
Okay, that's fair. So, have you been playing anything else, or is that it?
I'm trying to think. I think there was something else. I played Deltarune because Chapter Two came out. I replayed Chapter One and played Chapter Two. Very good, very funny. There's some really cute interactions. The puzzles are. I think Chapter Two has a lot better puzzles,
Hmm.
but they're both really good. Very very good. Very silly.
Yeah, I'm pretty
The
excited to try them.
the like main antagonist of Chapter Two is very funny.
Well, I guess that kind of leads us into the last game that I didn't bring up that I've been playing.
Mm.
So I guess technically replayed. I never finished it the first time, but I played through Undertale all the way through for the first time very recently,
Mhm.
and it's a lot better than I remember it. So
Yeah, it's a pretty nifty game. But I don't know. What were some highlights for you?
um, I mean, the combat system is pretty fantastic.
Hmm.
The whole idea of being able to spare every enemy in the game is like ambitious and very interesting. I think we've seen more of those kind of games now. There are more games that are taking that idea, but I can't name a single one that did anything like that prior.
Hmm. I've
Um,
heard the that RPG called Moon was a big inspiration for for Undertale. So it might be worth checking that out because I've heard that's also pretty good.
okay,
Um, yeah, it really it, it it really is just like a fascinating like new way of like viewing an RPG.
right.
Um,
And
and
I really loved the EXP and HP reveals at the end,
mhm.
like what those actually stood for.
Yeah.
I think I told you this. Because I didn't play very much of it. I played on my old like really crappy 2012 laptop,
Mhm.
and it was not a good experience. Even though that's not a demanding game by any means, but it's just like the whole experience wasn't great.
Yeah.
Um, but I wasn't. I kind of thought it was just a goofy game the whole way through. So I think probably my favorite part was realizing it got a lot deeper and darker at the end.
Yeah.
Somehow I had never had that spoiled for me. So it was pretty crazy. I was like, oh, like there start to be things as you get further into the game that are like, huh, that's that's a little dark, and
Yeah.
then it's like at the end it just kind of pulls the rug out from under you. And I think the Asgore fight was probably my favorite in the entire game.
Yes.
I love that theme and like the way it portrays what Asgore is feeling. Just like that, just the way that boss fight is presented is amazing.
Hmm.
The build up
Hmm.
to it, the way it goes down, the way he shatters your spare or mercy, I guess,
Hmm.
uh, going into it, like that he doesn't deserve It's like it's so good.
Yeah, him forcing you to fight him, but also
Yeah,
like you can like check on him, and like various actions will like give you flavor text.
yeah, yeah.
And it's just like you can tell like this big fluffy boy does not want to hurt you, but like he feels like he very has to.
Right. Yeah, it's so well done, and then like the dialogue after it. Yeah,
Mhm.
and again that music. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
like the whole game has a
it's
great soundtrack, but
it's
that was the
really
one that.
powerful.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Like a lot of the music up to that point where it was like fun and happy and goofy, and there were a few that were like a little darker, but that was the one that was like actually brought out emotion. Like as soon as I started hearing it play, he lowers his head. It's like, oh gosh.
Hmm. What did you think of the fight with Flowey?
uh,
The
which one?
first the first the
Okay,
first
I was
fight.
like,
So the
I
first the
guess like
first one I think
spoilers.
is I'm not sure if it's official, but a lot of people call it Photoshop Flowey.
Okay, okay. Yeah, it's just kind of it's like an assault to the eyes, I guess,
Hmm. Hmm.
intentionally so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. It didn't hit me as much as the Asgore fight did, but
Hmm. Were you playing on PC or on Switch?
I was playing on PC because I'm too cheap to rebuy it.
Okay, that's fair. I think that's the best way because like the game quits whenever you die during that fight. And it's just like it's like it is such like a really like powerful moment. Realizing he has control over the game as a whole, and that he's just like
Right.
using his save files and whatnot to get the one up on you, and then you eventually like progress from that, and you start calling your soul calls out to the other souls, and they start to
Yeah.
lend you their support, and it's just like that gets me. That gets me every time. Oh, so good.
Yeah, the last few fights in the game are really good.
Hmm.
And initially, so I did do the full pacifist route.
Hmm.
So I did get the extra content at the end. Initially, I wasn't really liking it because I thought the way the game ended naturally was way better. And when you start that extra content, it kind of goes back to being goofy and like, oh, everything's happy. And it was a lot of fan service, which wasn't bad, but it was just like it took away, I thought, from the powerful way that the game ended. Um, but then it goes back to being just as emotionally wrecking as the original final boss, I
Hmm.
guess, or final bosses. So in the end, I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I adore the fight with Azrael,
Yeah,
because like I don't know like how much you struggle with that, but I think one of my favorite things about that is that it is very much a cinematic fight, in
right.
that like whenever you die, your heart puts itself back together, and it's basically
Yeah,
like, but the heart refused to, but it refused to die or something.
yeah, yeah. It kind of turned. It goes back to the whole idea of determination.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
And
it
then
was really well done. I loved the kind of flow from the happy goofy stuff down to and the way that it pieces together the game's intro
hmm.
with the ending. I thought was very good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of bummed that I didn't that I hadn't replayed it sooner. I think it was one of those things where I kind of played it after it became like mega popular,
Yeah.
and so I kind of got caught up like seeing more of the memes and more of the toxic side of things. And I feel like it's kind of calmed down now,
Hmm. Yeah,
and I'm
you
able
you
to
sort of
appreciate
get
it.
an impression about like what kind of game it is just from like the whole zeitgeist,
Right,
and like you forget that like it really is just like just a heartfelt little project made by a couple of people.
right. I think it's also a huge inspiration for any game dev out
Oh,
there. That like not only is it a very
absolutely.
original idea, even though it seems like it looks like an RPG Maker game.
Hmm.
It starts to add a few more elements as you go through, but um, the fact that it's like so minimalistic and yet it does such a good job of telling its story and engaging you with the characters in the world. Um, it uses very simple gameplay very well,
Yeah.
and then has become this huge phenomenon. So.
Yeah, I think like it's that aspect of like your actions have consequences, and like
Yeah,
you can see the results of your actions like all over the place.
which like
Um,
how many AAA RPGs even do that? That was
yeah,
kind of actions and affecting the world was always kind of part of RPGs, and I feel like we've kind of moved away from that in a lot of ways.
hmm,
So this felt like it weirdly felt like it was coming back to the glory days while also being something very new and different.
yeah,
So, and it's
um,
also the most Sophia looking game I've ever played. This like
yeah,
looked like you could have drawn some of these characters,
yeah,
and like the style
absolutely.
of humor too. It's like I felt closer to you after playing it. I'll say
Hmm.
that.
So I kind of want to tell like a little bit of a story. So like I've had this idea for a story called Questy Floss for a very long time, and I and then Undertale came out, and I was like, I have to make a game. And it um, felt like an RPG would be the like the best way to tell a story that I want to do. Like it not only got me like kind of determined to make my own game to tell this story that I've had for a very long time, but it also every single time that I hear the music from that game, I come away with like more like of an understanding of like why the music is the way that it is, and like I learn things about how it was made, and like I get inspired to make my own stuff. It's just like it is such there's so much heart and love and care that was put into this game that it just like I cannot interact with it and come away uninspired. All right, we should put some like hold music in there, and then
uh,
then I guess we'll come back and be like, wow, those were some technical difficulties.
we had a bunch of issues, um, and it all started right after like Sophia was telling that like very important thing about how Undertale inspires her every time.
Yeah,
So it
it
was like the worst possible moment for that to happen.
really, really punctuating that. It's it's our fault for recording our 13th episode on October. Truly the spookiest, the unluckiest number on the spookiest month. So I don't. I guess we were just asking for it.
I guess we'll have a long month ahead of us then.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, you know, knock on wood and all that. This doesn't happen again. We shake all the bad ones out, and then it's all uphill from here or downhill. Why is it? Here's the question: Why do they? Why is this saying it's all uphill from here when like it's harder to go up a hill?
Hmm.
Why isn't it? Why don't they say it's all downhill from here? Because like then you're at the top of a hill, you could just coast down a hill. You can't coast up a hill.
That is true. Huh.
I don't understand in it.
That's interesting. Wonder if it's like related to a like a hill, quote unquote, on a graph or something.
Maybe
That's the only thing I can think of because
it's
yeah,
like a business
practically that
thing.
doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Ah, it's all uphill from here.
We're, okay, so we were
Yeah,
wrapping up
we were
Undertale.
we were talking about Undertale. Yeah, I was just saying that like this game inspires me in so many ways. Every single time that I play it,
That's cool.
and the soundtrack is just so good.
There's really not like a bad track.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I listened to the orchestrated version right after.
Hmm. It's really good. If you sit through like the opening part, there's a bunch of funny dialogue. The characters banter back and forth, but the actual performance itself is really good.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So anything? Oh, actually, I was going to ask one last thing. Deltarune, does that game impact you at all like that, or is it Undertale more of like a special thing?
Um, yes, Deltarune very much. It's telling a very different story,
Yeah.
but it's also similar in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Um, it packs a bit of a punch as well.
Okay.
It is also like setting up to be a much longer story than Undertale. There's
Right.
going to be a total of 7 chapters.
I thought it was five. That's
Um,
what I was told, but
the next 3 chapters are all going to be one. So you might have been hearing 3, 4, and 5, and then there's going to be a total of 7.
oh wow. Okay. So this game won't be done for like a very long time, or I guess games. Each one I've heard is like about maybe a little shorter than Undertale.
Um, the first one is definitely shorter than Undertale. The second one is pretty beefy.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'd
Um,
heard they're kind of their own games, even though they have chapters
yeah.
on them. It's not
Um,
quite like the Walking Dead episodes or
I think
something.
both of them, like individually, are shorter than Undertale. But I think as this thing grows, it's going to be much bigger.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, there's a lot to get like really emotional about in Deltarune.
Okay. Well, cool. I'm looking forward to playing them now.
Yeah, absolutely, they're free,
Yeah,
so
I do have them downloaded.
no reason not to.
Right. So I
Try
guess that was. Oh, sorry.
try not to give away like too much about chapter 2, or any of it actually.
Yeah,
But it
I'll try and play it. Try and play through them before the end of the year, so that
yeah.
before the kind of our big end of the year discussion.
hmm It's on the Switch, so you can play it on that.
Yeah, like I said, I have them downloaded. I just I got a lot of games to play, so
That's fair.
especially one that's coming out tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
As of the time of this recording, we are
yeah,
mere hours away from not even hours. Actually, it's 10:15.
yeah. We're It's just a couple hours away, and then
Yeah.
I get to
And then you
play.
get to play Metroid Dread, and then I get to go to sleep, get up early for work, then go through a whole work day, and then come home and play Metroid Dread. But I guess I couldn't afford it if I didn't go to work. So
Yeah, that's fair. I'm on my weekend right now. Thursday and Friday is my weekend,
gotcha.
so
I'm off
it's
Wednesday.
okay that I'm not working.
Yeah, I work 4 days a week, so I get off Wednesday.
Okay.
So I kind of get like a it's like a Monday. It's a weird experience because it's like you do Monday, Tuesday, and then you kind of have like a mini weekend,
hmm
and then Thursday, Friday, and then you get like a full weekend. So
Yeah,
it's weird. Wednesday always feels like Saturday to me. Still,
that's fair. Um, I experienced that when I was working at a call center. I was working 40-hour weeks, but it was like four days on, so like 10-hour days, which were
gotcha.
really long, and I hated that
Yeah,
job. But it was nice to also have a lot of time off.
yeah, yeah. Having a whole day is nice. Anyways, that's what we've been playing.
Yeah,
I guess we'll just talk about a couple of quick news things, right?
yeah.
There's kind of a big one that just happened. The final Smash Bros. Character.
I can't believe that Sakurai put himself in the video game.
There are a lot of people who were really wanting that,
Yeah,
but I guess like the Mii Fighter is kind of already that. Um, but I do think anyway, Sora was revealed,
Sora
and
Kingdom Hearts.
yes,
What a good pick, right?
yeah, yeah. I thought this was like the best possible character they could have picked to end the Fighter's Pass.
hmm
I'm not gonna lie, I love the Kingdom Hearts games, so like seeing that intro where he's like kind of like falling through the portal and then flying around and Yoko Shimomura's music is playing, I got a little
Yeah.
emotional. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it felt there's like it felt so satisfying in a weird sort of way.
Hmm.
Like I don't know, because like you grow up um with Adobe Flash games, and people are making like their own like Super Smash Bros, but it has like Goku and Sora and
Yeah.
Sonic, and and people are making all of their fun little games. They're like, oh, wouldn't they're drawing their comics? Wouldn't it be so cool if Sora were in Smash, if Cloud were in Smash, if Minecraft Steve were in Smash? And then like it feels like it really does feel like they did the best that they could to listen to everyone and like bring in like at the dream team.
Right. Right. I still feel like. I mean, I quite honestly, Byleth is one of my favorite DLC characters, just from the
Byleth
way they
is really
play.
good.
Yeah, I do feel like that was the one pick though that everyone was like almost unanimously upset about, except if you liked Fire Emblem.
Mhm. I don't like Fire Emblem for multiple reasons, but
Yeah.
Byleth is a really fun character to play as.
Yeah.
Um, them and Corrin are both, I think, my favorite Fire Emblem characters.
Oh, for sure.
Um,
Yeah, and they have such a distinct move set too.
yeah, I also really like just like the like ancient dragon bone weapons. It's just like really
Yeah.
thematically cool. Um, I didn't even know that King of Fighters was a franchise that existed, and like Terry got me really excited.
I
Um,
still remember the first time we were playing that online together, and I can't remember. Were we using Nintendo Switch Online? For some reason, I couldn't hear you. I think that's how it went.
I think so. I don't
And I could just
remember.
see like the visual of you doing all these weird crouch things. I'm like, oh, she's trying to pull off the special moves. I'm like, you could see like as soon as like Terry's doing these weird like forward crouch shield things, it's like, yeah, that's
Yeah,
Sophia trying to pull off the special
I don't
moves.
think I could do it now because it's been too long. I did pick up the other Fighters Pass, so I got all the. I've been playing around with the other characters that I didn't have before.
Yeah.
Because I gotta have Sora. I gotta have Sora. Sora looks like so much fun.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It was kind of what I expected, right? Like they can't use any of the Disney side of things.
Yeah.
I guess we're lucky that they left the Mickey Mouse emblem on his keyblade, but
Hmm. Can you imagine like all like how hard of a get that actually was?
probably pretty hard. I mean, I know like Sora is still owned completely by Square Enix,
Hmm.
so that is still a character they can use. But I think they still have to. I forget how it
They
works.
credited Disney
Yeah,
in
well, because again, like the Mickey Mouse logo on,
yeah.
so
I
even
I
though
I think it would have been. I wish that they had put more of like the actual like stage music in,
yeah,
instead of just like the like overarching Kingdom Hearts themes.
which
Which
are
there's
really good
still some
still.
really good ones, but
Yeah,
also like it would be really cool to have like stuff from like like Kingdom Hearts 2 had some really good tracks. They all had really good tracks.
yeah.
Um, but I don't know,
Unfortunately, we
like
don't get to play with play Smash Bros with "He's a Pirate" remix from.
yeah, yeah, or
It's
or
such a good
or
theme.
or like the like any of like the battle music.
Oh
Because
yeah, yeah,
like none of the level music like really like takes any sort of keys from like the source material. It's all
right.
original. So like,
Except for "He's a Pirate," I think that's one
well,
of the
yeah,
few. But
except for
yeah,
he's a pirate, which is just the instrumental version of that, the,
yes,
the synthesized instrumental version of that song.
right. The all I could think of though is the how great the Toy Story battle theme would have been.
Hmm.
It's so
Yeah,
good.
that
Kingdom
would have
Hearts 3
would have
has
been
some great
perfect
ones too. Yeah,
for Smash.
I get it though. You know, that's anything that like even remotely touched one of those Disney worlds. I guess would be a lot harder to
Hmm.
get.
Yeah,
Um,
they kept
yeah,
Timeless River skin. That's pretty cool.
that is very cool. That was very cool. I was kind of surprised they let that get through because that's directly based on
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it's not like, you know,
it's
Sora as a lion, as a
yeah.
lion cub or something, but
I guess it's different because it's like it's stylistic versus like it's just Mickey Mouse.
yeah, or
Because
like,
like
oh, it's Sora as a merman straight out of Little Mermaid.
that would have been really wild. What? Oh shoot! Why didn't we get Tron Sora? Probably because that's more like
That's directly linked. Yeah, you
yeah,
can't like pretend that's
but like
just a
the
generic costume.
yeah, but like the rubber hose look is like not just it doesn't just belong to Disney.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. They didn't invent that, but
Yeah, they just
still
stole
very
it.
cool though. Yeah, still very cool though. It was a little sad to not see like Mickey or Donald and Goofy in the final Smash because I feel like that would have been perfect.
Yeah,
But like having he and Mickey seal the door would have been
yeah,
a great callback to the original game. But
um,
it is what it is. It's Sora in Smash, and I'm just happy that he's here. So
yeah. I mean, Donald and Goofy is already in this game. We got
have you
Duck
talked?
Hunt.
I was gonna say I've seen the memes already. Like, is that you, Donald?
That's just what they look like in this world.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. I guess we don't really have like a mouse character that we could even pretend.
There's Pikachu.
Well, that's true.
Pikachu's a mouse.
It doesn't really look like it,
Technically,
but yeah.
I don't know. Maybe one of the Pokeballs or assist trophies. The Bomb Chew.
Yeah, the Mickey Mouse explosive.
Yeah, you know, it's a surprise tool that'll help us later.
Not a bad impression.
Thank you.
I used to have a really good Mickey Mouse impression. I haven't done it in forever, so I don't know if it's any good, and I'm too nervous to do it on stream.
That's fair. That's fine. I'm not gonna to put you on blast and ask you
Right.
to.
But I went to Disney World many years ago, and because you hear that voice everywhere, like I'm not good at impressions, but that was one of the few that I could actually kind of do.
Hmm.
Anyways, Sora. So I guess the one unfortunate thing for you, right, is that means officially that your boy Gino's out of it.
Gino's not coming. Um,
There's the Mii Fighter costume
yeah,
and the spirit.
yeah, and I don't know. Maybe he'll be in the next one, but
Do you think
it is a
Sakurai's going
little
to make
sad.
another one? I kind of think
Um,
he's not. I'm actually kind of thinking
I
he's serious with this one.
yeah, I think
He seems overworked and stressed, like
yeah, I think
beyond what he's ever been.
it's got to be someone else.
Yeah,
And it's probably also going to be a really long time before we get another one.
for sure. I mean, I could
Because
see them just kind of repackaging this game,
mhm.
each like with maybe some new visuals or some new stages or something,
Yeah,
like Smash Ultimate Deluxe or something. But
yeah, kind of like
I
they
don't
did
see
with
us getting a
Mario
new
Kart.
Smash for a very long time.
I think this is this is going to be the Smash that we have for like a really long time.
Right.
It's going to be the new Mario Kart 8 in a way,
Yeah.
except that I mean, and like to be fair, it's been out for like what 2 3 years.
Yeah. December 2018.
So like
Almost 3 years. Yeah.
it's time to move on. You know.
It is.
Uh,
It's time
you,
to give us another gosh dang Mario Kart game.
yeah, not yeah, Sakurai. What are you doing? Give us Mario Kart. What are you waiting for? Got work to
Yeah.
do.
I hope whatever he does. I mean, I don't know if he's going to continue doing game development work or retire or what, but I think he's earned a break, and I think if he wants to come back to do more game development stuff, I think he's earned the right to be able to do any game he wants at this point with
Yeah,
any budget.
yeah,
So I remember I was kind of disappointed when Smash Ultimate was announced because I really wanted to see him do something new because it hadn't been that long since the last Smash games. So
it is so weird. I'm just thinking about it now that like usually there isn't like such a big hubbub and to do over like the director of a game unless it's like Kojima.
Right.
Um,
Or
like,
Suda 51, I guess, but not even on that level, I don't think.
but like the just like the whole like fandom around Sakurai,
Yeah.
it's just really weird. You don't really see that anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty bizarre.
I don't know. I didn't really have like anything to say about that. Just like it's really interesting because like it feels like oftentimes the director kind of goes unnoticed and lets the product speak for itself.
Right.
But Sakurai has had a very like front and center sort of presence throughout the whole thing.
Which I think really shows too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so maybe he'll finally give us the next Kid Icarus game.
Maybe,
I would
or
like that.
it would be cool if he if he were able to get back to Kirby.
Yeah.
Kind of a welcome home sort of
Right,
situation.
right. I'm not as concerned about that series now, though. I
Yeah.
think I would have been more like, yeah, get Sakurai back, but
Now we got
I think they're
Forgotten
going.
Land coming.
Yeah, yeah. I think they're going in the right direction. So again, I liked Star Allies, but it's still like the easiest Kirby game in existence. I liked it more than Triple Deluxe, so
Yeah. Well, Triple
that's still
Deluxe
my.
was notable just because it was the first Kirby game on the 3DS. That wasn't just like the Kirby Adventures.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's the only notable thing about that entire game.
Well, also that it's just it really takes the swallowing to like a whole other level that I could get I could just like talk endlessly about, but this isn't that kind of podcast.
Yeah, I mean that was like super underutilized though.
Yeah,
It
that's the
was
other
basically
thing.
just a cutscene.
It's a really cool and interesting cutscene though.
Yeah.
But Robobot was just so much better.
Oh yeah, it had so much more charm and life to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, they're using like the same engine, reusing some of the assets, but like I've never felt that way about like an asset slash engine reusing sequel before,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like the first game was just okay, and then like the second game was like a near masterpiece. But have you actually played Kid Icarus Uprising?
No, I haven't.
That might have to
Um,
go on the wheel.
yeah. Well, I've got my hacked 3DS, so I could absolutely
Right.
obtain a copy.
Very legally, right?
Yes, extremely legally. You would not believe how legal this obtaining is.
I guess that's about it for our show then, right?
I guess so. Was there any other news? I mean, we got Metroid coming out in like hours.
Yeah. There's a
Um,
new Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Battle
I
Royale
I
coming
don't
out.
I don't I don't care. I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't care about Tom Clancy or his Ghost Recon.
It's a Battle Royale. Um,
Good for him. I hope he wins I hope he gets the winning chicken dinner.
I mean, he's been like dead for a very long time.
Well, then I hope that he has a good grave. I don't know.
At this point, it's just like his name that's being thrown around. But
Yeah, I wonder how he feels about that. Stop making games about me.
um, yeah, so this is like Ubisoft's continued movement into free to play games.
Hmm.
So I don't know. This is just like Ubisoft pulling another Ubisoft, where somebody incorporates like we're going to do this, and then everyone does that without them testing the waters if that's going to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we're
So
gonna
they
make
just
a
kind
Breath
of
of the Wild.
yeah. Well, I mean that was just like after the success of Assassin's Creed, they're like, now hold on. and then they made another one, and it was more popular. And they're like, okay, what if we take that style of game and apply it to every series we have?
Mm.
And then we'll take things that we started in other games and apply that to Assassin's Creed. And then all of their games just started to have that like Ubisoft feel to it.
What if we made an Assassin's Creed, but whenever you die, you turn into a big bubble like in Rayman?
I would actually like to see that.
Goofy Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like a lot of Ubisoft's games, but recently they're just like I just can't take any more of these big open world Ubisoft games.
Mm-hmm.
They're still like there's still enjoyable things about them, but I really don't like that that's the like full direction they've gone. And there's like there's kind of like stray games that are not the usual open world thing. Like, of course, the Rayman games, right? Origins and Legends. Legends is one of the best 2D platformers ever made. Um, and then, of course, like Mario plus Rabbids. They did like they're doing that new game, Riders Republic, that looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
They did Steep, which was that I think it was open world, but it was like that snowboarding game.
Yeah.
So like they do take some risks. They did like that roller derby game that I don't think has ever fully come out. I can't remember what that one was even about, but they will take some like strange risks, but then most of their main series just kind of remains stagnant. And it often feels like it's just a corporate decision to like, okay, we're going to do this now. Um, so I feel like Ubisoft has some of the most talented developers in the industry that they just don't let run wild with ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a shame now seeing them go after this free to play market. I mean, like I wouldn't mind a few, but they've already announced like two or three right in a row, and they've already made a statement that that's kind of where they're moving. Like they're still going to do some big AAA games, but most of it's going to be free to play stuff.
Well, who knows? Maybe
Yeah,
maybe they'll make something good again.
I mean,
Maybe they'll
next
make
year they
a
have Mario plus Rabbids too, so we
yeah.
already
That's
know
true.
they've got something good.
That's true.
I'm so
I
excited for that.
that's the other thing that I was playing the other day was I picked Mario and Rabbids up again, and I finished the Spooky Castle. The
Ooh.
Phantom fight was pretty fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Tom fan. How could it be? I was the Earth benefactor. Sure, Beepo. You dumb computer. Piece of garbage.
That game is so good though.
It really is. I love it so much.
Like that's what I mean. Every time Ubisoft's like allowed to do something new and fun and exciting, like it's usually their best games.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they learn. They probably won't. Their next leaked Assassin's Creed game is going to be like Fortnite apparently, where it's constantly updating and it's just like a big live service game. So that's not encouraging.
What if everybody was an assassin? What if there were 100 assassins?
I don't think it's going to be a battle royale, but I think that's that kind of style where like the map's constantly changing and stuff.
Right.
Which I mean, I really don't want that for like a series like Assassin's Creed.
What if we made an Assassin's Creed where you can mine and craft?
But
And
like that kind of it dips into like game preservation, right?
yeah,
Like if you're constantly making changes, like there's stuff in Fortnite that you'll never experience again
yes.
unless they decide to give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of thing always bothers me.
Yeah.
As just like
It
somebody who,
also, it also feeds into like a whole. This is like a whole like separate topic entirely,
right?
but like that whole like just predatory nature of
Yeah,
like preying on people who experience like that fear of missing out on the stuff that
right.
everybody else is experiencing. If I don't jump on this Rick and Morty skin, I never will get it.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't mind the Splatfests, for example,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not really like adding new content.
Yeah, it's just a chance to engage with the community.
Yeah, yeah. It usually gets the community to come back to it. But I don't like the idea of like making permanent changes and then not giving people like even Splatoon 2 when they added the shifty stations. As soon as they were done with all the Splatfests, they permanently added those maps back into the game and are now accessible through the local multiplayer mode.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you get a group of friends together and you make custom matches, you can play on any shifty station map that ever appeared in a Splatfest.
Oh, that's cool.
So, like, that's the kind of thing I like, right? Like, it was limited time content, but then it came to everyone at the end once they were done with it. So,
you know what? I hope that Splatoon 3 has better like local multiplayer support. I hope that it just has better multiplayer support.
Yeah.
I hope that you could choose what side.
I was just gonna say, what if they let us pick our side so we could play with our friends and not constantly against them?
Oh, delightful. It would be really cool if like there were more, if there were like some kind of couch co-op feature.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Because like
I don't know how well it would run.
There's no way to like play it with a friend sitting next to you unless you both have a Switch. And even
there was in the original Splatoon,
but it was just like battle against each other, right?
It was like popping balloons. It was awful. Mm. I actually went to the saddest like midnight launch party for that game. It was like a few people, and they like had one Wii U set up with that worst game mode ever. And they were like getting it set up, and they were like, "Oh wait, we can't actually let you play this yet." So then they had to take it back down. I guess somebody didn't read the rule books or something.
That's horrible.
So I just kind of sat there like with other people quietly playing their 3DS for like an hour.
That's horrible.
Well, I knew the guy that was working at that GameStop, so he had like invited me to come.
Mm.
And I had to work the next day. I was like, well, this wasn't worth it. Anyways, that was a really great outro that lasted like 10 minutes. Talking about Ubisoft and predatory FOMO. Depressing launch parties. Yeah. That's the kind of outro that you'd expect from our podcast.
It's the spookiest month of the year. It's Halloween. October doesn't exist. It's Halloween now. It's Hallowtober.
I thought you were going to draw that into how that was relevant to us rambling.
Well, just it's time for talk of dire, sad, upsetting things.
Okay, you did actually tie that in well.
Blood. Werewolves.
Microtransactions. I wasn't sure if I should just end it or.
I want to take your play coins.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone.
Silver coins for gold coin. Cash in gold coin for paper dollar. Spend paper dollar on digital hat.
This might be our best outro yet.
I'm going to suck your wallet dry.
Do we just end it here?
I am Activision.
That is actually pretty scary. Dress up as Activision for Halloween.
Yeah. Or EA. Hey, I want to buy your company.
Or show up as Randy Pitchford.
Oh no, the scariest.
He actually just he moved positions. I thought the article made it seem like he was stepping down. And he technically was from his...
Such a meaningless act, by the way. Can I just say?
Oh no, he's in a higher position now.
Oh.
It was just he was stepping down from his leadership role directly on the games, and now he's like the head of Gearbox entertainment.
Stepping down doesn't even mean anything.
So, I mean, I guess
these bad people. Blacklist them.
Oh, it wasn't anything to do with his actions. It was like a voluntary thing, I believe.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh.
How do we end this? Help us.
This has been a podcast. Thank you for listening. Ooh.